Good evening and welcome to Millennium Stage. And now, please give a warm welcome to Beltway Brass Quintet.
Well, thank you all so much for coming on out. I'm Zach Smith. We are the Beltway Brass Quintet, and we are delighted to be here for, I believe, our 11th year. This has kind of become a tradition for us. If I wasn't here the day before Christmas, I'm not exactly sure what I would be doing, so it keeps me organized. Shopping, maybe shopping. Anyhow, we are going to play all sorts of Christmas stuff that we have written. Generally, most of the arrangements that we play are stuff that we wrote ourselves. In fact, this next one was written by our fabulous tuba player, Mr. Tom Holtz. And Tom has recently retired from the Marine Band. This is Ding Dong Merrily on High.
Thank you. There's no place like home for the holidays. I know a lot of you have been admiring our outfits today. For a long time, our dress code for the Christmas concerts was a dress shirt and a Christmas tie. And then 4 or 5 years ago, we thought we should change to the big fad of ugly Christmas sweaters. And then last year, I thought it would be cool to make a Christmas sweater out of Christmas ties. So I got a bunch of ties and made this. Well, with plenty of help from my wife. I thought it might start a sensation when our videos hit YouTube, but I haven't seen any sweaters like it yet, so it still might be a one of a kind. You can come take a closer look after the program. This next Christmas song was written during the Cuban Missile Crisis as a song appealing for peace during that very difficult time. It's known as a lovely and flowing ballad, but our fabulous tuba player, Tom Holtz, thought it would be a good to make with a funk groove. So we got this one with a cool funk groove. Tom retired from the U.S. Marine Band, as Zach mentioned, and many of you have probably seen him either around town or on TV playing ceremonies, parades, concerts at some time or another in the last 25 years. But I think you're going to enjoy Tom's very hip version of Do You Hear What I Hear? Thank you. Here we come a-wassling. I don't exactly know what wassling is, but we came and we wassled.
That's right.
Next up, we have something that I guess you could call Christmas music, since it comes from a famous Christmas TV special. It's some incidental music during a Charlie Brown Christmas. You've probably heard it several times, but might not even recognize it. It comes from the scene where Charlie Brown comes in to direct the Christmas play, and it fades in and out just a couple of times. And so it's called Charlie Brown's theme. Our leader, Zach Smith, thought it would be a good one, so he wrote this arrangement for us. He writes most of the music for our group, and we are very thankful to benefit from his wonderful talents. On this one, Zach's going to switch to piccolo trumpet. It has half the tubing of a regular trumpet, so it has a lighter and brighter sound quality. Like that. And I'll be playing the Flugelhorn, which has a conical bore that starts out smaller than the regular trumpet and flares out to the big bell, so it has a mellower sound.
All right, well, we specialize in all the brass instruments here with the Beltway Brass Quintet, including the frottoir. Now, you know, I have another band called the Dixie Power Trio, and we specialize in New Orleans music, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a New Orleans-y arrangement of one of these Christmas classics. So I wanted to do some rub board on it, and I was thinking, well, what song would really fit good with some rub board? Silent Night? No. Gesù Bambino. That might, no, that was, finally, it occurred to me, Little Drummer Boy. So we call this one Little Rub Board Boy.
Zach Smith on the rub board. Not only is he a trumpet virtuoso, but he is a rub board virtuoso. And pretty darn good at the harmonica, too. And he also plays accordion. Very good accordion player. Multi-talented. Before we... now we have a song that has evolved into a popular Christmas carol, but it was actually first written as a Thanksgiving poem. It's called The New England Boys' Song About Thanksgiving Day. Catchy title, huh? It's actually, the first line of the poem is what it's known as, Over the River and Through the Wood. It was written by Lydia Child, published in 1844. And it was later set to a tune by an unknown composer, and then someone changed the phrase Thanksgiving Day to Christmas Day. And although people usually sing it, To Grandmother's House We Go, the original words were To Grandfather's House We Go. I've always liked the melody and the 6/8 meter, so thought it might be a nice, lively brass quintet arrangement. So I wrote it out for the group for this year's concerts. Hope you enjoy it.
Well, I want to take a second to talk a little bit about our French horn player, Mary Beth Hall. She is a fabulous horn player. You may notice that we feature the French horn predominantly on almost every song. Okay, we don't really do that. But that's because most of the arrangements we do are sort of jazzy, and I have found over the years that French horn is not exactly the jazziest of classical instruments. But one of the fortunate things we have is that Mary Beth Hall is a really jazzy French horn player. So how about a hand for Mary Beth Hall? This next arrangement is one I just did real recently. Me and Charlie, Charlie actually has a publishing business where he sells a lot of these arrangements, and he was talking to me that we have not sold enough copies of Jingle Bells. And I said, well, maybe I'll write a new version of it and we'll sell more copies of Jingle Bells. So here it is, Jingle Bells Swing. One, two, three. This next arrangement is going to feature Mr. Dan Haverstock. We call him Big Daddy. And I've been playing gigs with Dan ever since I met him about 30 years ago when I moved to D.C. We actually had a gig, and he was on it and said, yeah, I'll drive to Richmond. So I met him up in a parking lot by the Beanie Weenie and got in his car, which had no floor. He said, just be careful. Don't put your feet down anywhere because you'll get road rash. So he's come a long way since then, but I was inspired to write something that really featured his talents, what he does best on trombone. So here is Deck the Halls.
You know, I can remember the good old days when the tuba player would show up to the gig with a weird sweater on because he was the tuba player. And that's sort of the thing that tuba players did. And now look at these guys. They all have like the Grinch green in their sweaters. They've got the lights. They've got everything going on. I am now the most buttoned down and laid back member of this group. It has come to that I am now I'm the conservative member. Has this really happened? This is amazing to me. This is amazing. How many of you still have shopping to do? There's very few hands out there. Congratulations, folks. Well done. This next song we're going to play it's not from the 1880s. This is from the 1980s. And you hear this a lot in the store playlists. It's got this little horn lick that's kind of distinct because it really doesn't sound like it's attached to the tune at all. And it's really distinctive, so it really catches your ear. And if you hear this coming around on the store playlist more than once, you've probably been shopping too long, and it's probably time for your shift to end. This is called Christmas Wrappings. It was done by the waitresses in the early 80s. Hope you like it.
And now, a reading from the Book of Seuss. chapter 4, verses 7 through 10. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small.
All right, well, let's see. This next song was a big hit by Jose Feliciano. And Dan had this big speech that he was going to read that had all sorts of information about it. I don't remember any of it. So we're just going to play the song. This is one of my favorites. It's called Feliz Navidad.
That's the important information. That's the most important.
1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's see here. I should also take a moment to mention Charlie Peterson over there on trumpet. We actually went to school together back in the early 1980s at the University of North Texas. That's where I first met him. He was a classical trumpet player slash punk rocker at the time. And we had a lot of good memories, including one time where I had no place to go after getting locked out of an apartment over Easter break, and Chaz was the only one who was actually still in Denton, Texas at the time, and quite literally saved me for that. So that was very cool. And we hooked back up in D.C. and have been doing this music thing ever since. This next song is the First Noel, but we've all done the First Noel. We've already actually written several arrangements of the First Noel, so I wanted to do something that was a little bit different. And after watching a whole bunch of Boys to Men videos, I had the right idea. This is the First Noel with Slow Jam Remix. Yeah.
very smooth, very jazzy. Before we go, I need to let you know that we do have some CDs available after the program. They'll be right behind the sound booth. And we've recorded several CDs over the years. We have a Christmas CD, an album of New Orleans favorites, a classical CD, and also our latest, an album of jazzy church music. The great gifts for you last-minute Christmas shoppers out there. And we can also be found on iTunes, on Amazon, on beltwaybrass.com, on Spotify, and also our own YouTube channel. So come check us out online sometime. We're going to end the program with a New Orleans-flavored version of Frosty the Snowman. So take it away, Zach. Zach? Zach! He seems to be frozen. I have an idea.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.